Welcome into February 2nd, 1998. We are 13 days away from In Your House, No Way Out of Texas, and we're 40 days away from WrestleMania 14. How can DX push the envelope even further tonight? Speaking of pushing, we watched two superstars go flying off the stage in a dumpster and get sent to a hospital. We're full speed ahead into WrestleMania 14. Join us on Analyzing Attitude, episode 15 tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll let you into a drawing to win a PlayStation 5. It's Analyzing Attitude coming to you now. Welcome into Analyzing Attitude, episode 15. The good Dr. Mike Sweeney, Jimmy Allen with you here tonight. Mike, it's February 2nd, 1998, and we've got not a ton to unpack, but some very impactful moments in the Attitude Era in this episode of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, we had maybe like a core group of like 6 people that just pretty much ran this show like throughout the whole thing. We had DX, we had the Outlaws, bit of Foley and Funk, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like we said, not a whole lot, but some key moments, especially leading into our next 2 pay-per-views.
I think we might have cause for celebration. 0 Los Boricuas, 0 Truth Commissions. We do get kind of the DOA in this show, but we'll get more into that in a little bit. We don't even open up the show with the fireworks with all the pomp and circumstance. We go directly to the Oval Office. Triple H, China, and Shawn Michaels are addressing and giving us the State of the Union. This is a legit letter set from the USA to Vince McMahon about Degeneration X specifically, racial undertones, explicit language, and a little bit of nudity as well. DX took this and ran with it. I forgot how good this actually was. There's an unedited version out there on YouTube. If you want to go hear all the words that Triple H wasn't supposed to say, and they get censored in this, but it is fantastic. And it allowed DX to take this. It's successful. All reports from Triple H himself and Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon is USA loved this and told him to do more of it.
Yes, I did not know when this segment was, so I was a little surprised when that was the first thing right off the jump. But I think that's my favorite little DX bit that they did, because just making fun of the fact that they were getting close to like being threatened to be taken off the air, and then they threw it in their face, and like you said, just got the network to love it.
And really of the times, right? I mean, this is right on the heels of the Monica Lewinsky situation going on in Washington, D.C. She gets referenced a few times in this episode as well, but it was just one of those things that there wasn't much more 1998 than Bill Clinton and the sex scandal, and they kind of ran with that at the end of this, talking about being up all night and things like that. So yeah, it was it was great. I thought it was really interesting. The other intriguing thing that I thought was of note to put into this is, and we've kind of referenced this a couple of times, but they mentioned no racial slurs, and I thought that was really interesting, because what we talked about 3 episodes ago with the artist formerly known as Goldust doing the blackface stuff against Flash Funk. But I thought about this too, and I thought it was really interesting that they said racial slurs, not verbiage, and because obviously that was not him saying anything, just displaying it. But I remembered back to before we started doing this, there was the incident where DX had trashed the Nation's locker room and wrote the N-word on the wall, and they blamed it on the Hart Foundation. And it was, I mean, even for 1998, that was still pretty pushing the envelope. So I wonder if that was the catalyst for them putting the racial slurs in there versus maybe any impersonations of multiple cultures, things of that nature.
For sure. And like I'm sure they had complaints about that stuff, so might as well, nip it in the bud and address it here and now while we're covering everything else in that little Clinton spoof segment.
We light the fireworks. We walk through the fire. We get we let the dogs bark. The show starts properly. We're not done with DX. They start. Not only do they give us the cold open, they open the show as well. And Triple H come out Triple H and Shawn Michaels come out dressed as Uncle Sam because they're campaigning. I mean, this is pretty funny because all the political stuff that's been rumored about them backstage, but they're campaigning for Austin versus Tyson. They've got signs. The little tidbit that I've loved about all the things that DX have been doing over the past couple weeks, whether it be the stuff with the hearse a couple weeks ago, is Chyna is in on the bit, but she never gets out of the gimmick, right? I mean, even here, you have Shawn and Triple H dressed up as Uncle Sam, but she's still in her traditional all black garb. She's carrying a picket sign, so she's halfway in, but we're still keeping her a little bit of a mystique, a little bit of an aura about her around ringside. And I love the fact that she never went fully in on any of their shenanigans.
I think she blended in really well with them, especially being the stoic one of the group, because like you said, you can give her a picket sign, doesn't mean she's going to be happy or
no expression.
Out. Yeah.
And it was even last week with the barbecue and the giant sausage. I mean, she had it, but she did, no crack of a smile, no sense of emotion. She's still that force on the outside that you need, that they were going for, while still being able to be a part of the haha.
Yes, and I think she was still effective, and that's what made it all work. And it's just, you don't even really double think about it, that she was the believable force that could actually protect these two yahoos. So
one of which is the WWF champion,
yes,
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, it really interesting though that I mean, we talked about the political thing going into a campaign year as well. Balloons fall from the ceiling. They go all in on the shtick before that this is a political sense. And we want Mike Tyson to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin. They even start a "Let Them Fight" chant, and the crowd is in on it. And I really wonder what was happening behind the scenes and how much they were petitioning with the Nevada Sports Commission to let Mike Tyson do something in ring. Because yes, obviously, for Shawn to continue his gimmick of the chicken shit heel, and we're gonna get into that in a minute, they had to do something like this, right?
Yeah,
but it feels like they really wanted to do something with Austin and Tyson from an in-ring perspective.
I think it's because it was the bigger draw for sure. Because I mean, they might even be thinking about Plan B with Shawn's back at the moment, but I think even just seeing the initial confrontation with Austin and Tyson, that they're like, ooh, that this could,
the dollar signs were rolling.
Yep. So it was definitely in their mind, I think, going forward.
Like we mentioned, the crowd jumps in with the "Let Them Fight" chants, and then the glass shatters. Out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin, and this is the first time we've seen these two in the ring since Austin has won the Royal Rumble, and really the first time we've even had them two talk about the main event of WrestleMania. And a lot of that might be because of everything we just talked about with Tyson and the back injury, etc. But Shawn's whole shtick, really, since he started feuding with Brett as a heel, has been he's a chicken shit heel, he's a chicken shit heel, he's a chicken shit heel. I hated this moment because he bows up to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's been afraid of The Undertaker. He's been afraid of Bret Hart. He's been afraid of all these people. Well, now you have the guy that you're coping as the baddest man on the toughest SOB on the planet, and now this is the guy he's not afraid of. And Shawn gets in Austin's face. He rips off the T-shirt. Austin rips off the T-shirt. But even like Hunter bows up to Austin at the end of this, and you're doing this thing with Austin where he's coming out and saying that Shawn Michaels' ass belongs to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Shawn's not showing any sign of emotion or any sign of fear. And I just feel like, and listen, we all know the state of mind that Shawn's in. They talk about it a lot. The WrestleMania press conference that they're promoting for February 14th is actually a week from, or excuse me, not even, it's 4 days from this episode. Go Google Shawn Michaels at that WrestleMania press conference. He is in bad shape, and the lights are on. Nobody's really home during that whole thing, and it's a lot of things, right? It's his back. It's the drug problems. It's the fact that he's on the mountaintop now, and this incumbent in Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming for him. But you kind of get an inside look at. I mean, we talked about this last week, right? With Taker talking about wrapping his fist before the main event to make sure Shawn Michaels does business the right way.
Yes,
this is wild.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is bitterness, especially why he bowed up
100%.
And he was that good little soldier that worked throughout the dark times, and they're finally seeing the light, and he's not going to be there to enjoy the fruits of his labor. And yeah, just a lot of probably animosity, jealousy, and
Drugs, alcohol.
drugs, not making right decisions. Um, it was nice that they finally touched on the fact that they're going to be wrestling at Mania for the first time in 3 weeks. But
we got a long time to get there. Right? We're still 40 days away, even at this point. So there's a lot to get to.
And we got Tyson's involvement, so there's ways to keep it fresh and give them things to work with on the way there. But like you said, it did feel a little awkward that he was bowing up to Steve Austin.
Yeah, because I mean, like you could tell Steve was probably told, "Hey, go out there and just if you have to get." Sean looked sober tonight. I'll give him that. Like he looked like he was on his game, but there was probably a lot of we don't know if he's popping some somas before he goes out there. We don't know what he's taking, So if you have to hold his hand through this, and obviously he's dealing with the back pain, there's probably some worry about alcohol and painkiller mixing and things like that. So it was kind of like this fine line for Steve because we've seen Steve throw tricycles at extras and stun and lay it into Vince McMahon, not really be afraid of laying in or making his stuff look good against certain guys. But this is Shawn Michaels. This is the WWF champion, and you've seen him not do business with guys because of issues behind the scenes with him. So it was probably a really difficult spot for Steve.
Yeah, but he took it like a true professional, and I think he was ready for anything. He's like, you know what? If we can do a pissing contest here, I'll take off my shirt too and get close to you as well.
The one thing I did love about this, though, that right before Austin gets ready to leave the ring, he gives the finger to Chyna. We're going to include everybody here. We talked about how important she is to all the stories that DX is involved in, and even going forward. I love the fact that he got that in as well.
Yep, pretty much saying like, I see you too. If you want to try me, I'm right here.
We're not done with Steve Austin, though. Austin walks up the ramp, then we see what's still to come tonight. We're going to get Stone Cold Steve Austin taking on the Road Dogg Jesse James. Also, the other half of the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn takes on Owen Hart for the European Championship tonight. We're continuing this theme, and we're going to get to them a lot tonight, of the Outlaws are kind of like right below. I mean, they're the tag team champions. They're kind of being held above the Intercontinental Championship and really as like a second fiddle to only the WWF Championship.
Very much so. They're in all the key segment spots, especially in tonight's, as we'll get to it here in a moment.
The focal point of the show.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, they are doing everything in their their power to get them over. And JR even says in commentary tonight, like, certain stars want to get over, become mega superstars, and these guys will do it at any cost. And so we see what goes on here, but my question was, why do we have Mick Foley and Terry Funk fighting each other tonight?
Well, that's what we get to next. We go to a commercial break. We come back to the second week in a row. We get Mick Foley and Terry Funk talking before the show in an empty arena. This time, Jim Ross is with them. Remember last week they were talking about death matches in Japan and all that. And tonight they're gonna have a match to determine who's the king of the hardcores. And Terry Funk apparently had given Mick Foley about some advice about not being in a wheelchair by the time he was 30. And he said, "Hey, if I'm going to be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 30, I love, but I need to do it as Cactus Jack and I almost said Chainsaw Charlie. Terry Funk, he's not in his persona yet, tells Mick Foley that he loves him like a son. But tonight he's going to be his daddy." And I thought that was great. So we're going to get this match, and like obviously they give us a reason to want to see it. It's to determine who the king. Like in some way they're trying to make it make sense, right? So I give them a little bit of kudos for that. We know what it sets up, but I like the fact that they didn't just say, "Well, we can't do it, so we're going to."
Right. Yeah, and
because we've seen man do that several times.
Right. And my questions kind of went out the way. They, I think it was King on commentary that says, some friends like doing this, some friends like doing that. These guys like beating the hell out of each other.
And they do. Yep. Terry Funk comes out first dressed as Chainsaw Charlie. And before Mick comes out, he grabs the microphone and says, "That's not a trash can," because Terry Funk came out with a trash can full of weapons. "This is a trash can." And he wheels out a dumpster also full of hardcore items. And the garbage can is kind of like the theme of this match, because the whole beginning of the match is them hitting each other with tinfoil trash cans, and crowd loves it. And then Terry Mick can't hit Terry again, and the crowd kind of boos it. Terry takes the trash can and he hits Mick, and they cheer again. And then he can't do it again. Mick turns his back, and Terry hits him, and that's the biggest pop of this entire match is that he hit him when his back was turned, and this crowd absolutely loved it.
Yep, they knew how they were working the crowd, and they've wrestled each other. I mean, how many times at this point? So let's make it interesting and fun. And we just have the trash theme that just spread out through the whole match after the segment and what's going forward to WrestleMania.
For sure. And this whole match is our meat and potatoes of the night. I mean, Mick starts wailing on Terry to start this match, as we alluded to. There's some stuff on the ramp. And then when Mick finally gets the upper hand, he tries to pile drive Terry in the trash can, which was never going to hurt in any way unless like, he's scorpioned. But like Terry Funk sells it like he's going into epileptic shock. Like he's seizing up in the ring. But like it was probably the most awkward looking pile driver ever.
I actually had to go back and rewind on that spot because I don't like the corner of my eye. I was like, ooh, did he like get like his shoulders in there? It's like, no, it just kind of just looks like
he basically just did a handstand.
Yep. Little somersault. Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, he sold it like he got shot by a shotgun, but our eyes tell us that there's no way he's in any danger.
Right.
But we go to commercial break after that. We come back, and both these guys on the top of the ramp in front of the dumpster. Mick had brought out at the beginning. Terry picks Mick up on the table and attempts to pile drive him through it. Mick back body drops the Funker into a dumpster, and then I thought this was a really cool way to. It's the first time I can really remember them doing anything with the Titantron, because Mick scales up to the lowest part of the Titantron and gives us the Cactus Jack elbow through onto Funk inside the dumpster. The one bad part is we see packing peanuts fly everywhere.
Yes.
And it kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit. And I'm sure, listen, what's about to happen? They needed those in there, but I bet you they wish this didn't make it on camera.
Yeah. They did just pop like a beanbag chair, just exploded all over the place. To me, it's okay because, maybe some people throw away packing peanuts. So,
right.
So it was all right, but no, I'm sure they didn't want that to get caught on camera at all. But it was a sweet looking elbow drop, though. It looked smooth.
It looked like $1 million. I'll give you that. But we understand why the dumpster got brought after this. After the elbow drop from the Titantron, the New Age Outlaws appear, and they close the dumpster and they tie it shut, and they start looking all over for what to do next. And they grab the dumpster and they throw it off the stage with Mick and Charlie still in it. Now, obviously, we're a couple weeks removed from the Royal Rumble where they lit the Undertaker on the and fire in the casket. Taker wasn't in the casket. They showed that afterwards. Mick and Charlie are legitimately still in this dumpster when this happens. And the stones on these two, Funk's north of 50 here and Foley's still just 34. But like to do this, like, because King even alludes to it later in the show, like, if that would have flown open and they would have like slid out, it probably would have killed them. So I mean, just an insane. And I guess when you think about insane in wrestling, two guys would probably come to mind: Mick Foley and Terry Funk. But just an incredible thing to do to draw ratings.
Yeah, and I don't know if there'd be a good a way possible for them to get out of that without being seen, like the casket. But I guarantee you that wasn't even an option for these two. We're like, no, we're failing in this thing. And we get the great sound bite from JR that you hear all over the place is, oh my God, there's people in there. There's people in there.
I loved how, and obviously this is just kind of the theme of the Attitude Era, right? But like how they gave us a look like, oh, okay, obviously these guys are friends, but they've also built friendships with all these other guys, and we kind of mix in who comes out here to tend to this situation. But I've seen guys win Super Bowls, I've seen guys win World Series, I've seen guys win World Championships. I don't think I've ever seen anybody as happy as Road Dogg looked when they actually did. Like, he looked like he just won the $1 billion lottery that was drawn last night.
Oh, for sure. He just tickled pink. They got their arms up. They're doing their little prance around after they did it. And they were probably actually genuinely happy. It's like, look, we're a part of an iconic moment now. So and then I feel like they did go a little overboard with the amount of people they brought out to check on them. But
really, I loved it. I thought it was great. But here's the other thing that I think they did great throughout the rest of the night is, like, I loved how much like because it kind of happens here. The first seed gets sown here, where they look like there's a little bit of remorse. Like, oh, did we go too far? Because there's the interaction with Vince McMahon, right? Vince comes out and Road Dogg's like, it just didn't go the way we thought it would. You know me better than that, and like and hats off to Jim Ross because I mean obviously he's the GOAT, right? But
Right.
I loved how he was like, we're focused in on this. The camera's here, but this isn't the story, right? It's not about these guys. Like, it's not being a big pull apart. It's not about guys fist fighting with each other. It's not about the interactions happening after the event. We're worried about these guys that are in this bin because yes, as you know, the headbangers come out, and Flash Funk come out, and Owen Hart, and all these guys are coming out. They don't talk about it. Like, it's just happening, so it feels organic. And like
Right.
that's one thing that's sorely missed in today's iteration of pro wrestling is like if it's on TV, it's being talked about.
Yeah.
And I thought Jim Ross did a good job of kind of keeping Michael Cole and Kevin Kelly in check and like, no, let's talk about let's keep the focus on these guys. And at this point, Charlie and Jack are out of the dumpster and they've got breathing masks on, they're strapped to backboards and all of that while all this stuff is going on around them. And Jim Ross says both of these guys want to be hardcore. Well, this is what being hardcore gets you. That kind of felt like a dig at ECW, right?
Yeah, I didn't think about it until now, but especially with all the stuff they were doing over on the other channel that was really detrimental to their well-being. But it very well could be. I know they were working kind of with them for a bit, but I don't know if they were soured at this point.
We go to commercial break. We come back and they're interviewing the Outlaws, and Jim Ross tells the Outlaws, "Hey, those guys have families." And Road Dogg says, "I got a family too." And DX shows up, and Sean says, "We don't get a lot of opportunities. We need to get the ratings. Suck it up. You did what you had to do. The show goes on, and be a man." And the one thing that I noticed about this, so last week we had the European Championship where Goldust was dressed as Triple H, lost it to Owen Hart. Hunter's not on crutches and getting around well here. So it kind of made me wonder, like, did we have that moment with Hunter not wanting to drop the belt to Owen Hart, kind of like Shawn did with Brett?
Um, I would hope not at that age or at that time for those guys. But I mean, I wouldn't put anything past them because it's a Hart and it's one of Sean's friends.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could totally see it either way. But I was actually thinking that too. It's like I don't think they did an angle where or show that he was good. They just had him walking on this
Yeah,
episode.
he was just fine.
Yeah.
But I love the realism here because it's 2 weeks removed from Vince McMahon's passe speech, right?
Hmm.
And hey, listen, we're doing like it's a show and we're suspending realism and suspending disbelief here, but we're doing this to entertain you. And this is probably a message from Vince McMahon. Like, here's the bar. We need to be better because even with the Mike Tyson stuff and even with everything that happens here, Raw draws a 3.5 tonight. Raw drew a 3.5 last week. They are
Right.
stagnant across the board. Nitro on this episode does their highest rating to date with a 4.9. Now, Sting is in the ring in the main event, and they're teasing a Hulk Hogan Randy Savage match in 2 weeks. That's got a little bit to do with it. But Nitro is still gaining traction while Raw is kind of staying stagnant. So, I mean, it's on the screen, but this is real life. They're trying as best as they
Right.
can to grow these ratings.
And it was a good angle to do this on because like we're getting some people with the Tyson stuff, but like you said, when we're plateauing, that's a problem. So we have to keep it building on the momentum that you have. And I think everything with the road or not the Road Warriors, the New Age Outlaws has been money, and they've got the veterans behind them, doing their best to get them over. So this was what 3 segments this whole thing went like with the replays and whatnot.
Yeah, we get 2 segments throughout the whole first hour of Raw. We get the DX stuff with Austin and this. Like, we just threw 2 guys off of a stage in a dumpster, and then we get the war zone.
Right.
Like, it's incredible to me. But the other thing that kind of annoyed me by the end of the show, we find out here that we're going to get Chainsaw Charlie and Mick, Stone Cold and Owen Hart versus DX and the Outlaws for the main event of No Way Out of Texas. Like, they methodically pick off their opponents for the pay-per-view, and we don't even talk about it. It
Nope.
doesn't get mentioned that that's what they're doing. Because next, as I mentioned, we just get to the war zone. We're getting Billy Gunn versus Owen Hart. And I thought it was really cool that the scene of Owen Hart coming out, they pan out and the dumpster is still there, right? I
Yep.
thought that it's just a reminder of this is the theme of the night. And I thought that was a really cool visual.
Yes, and the facial expressions and the speed at which Owen got to the ring, he's like, "You son of a bitch! You crossed the line. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get yours."
this might have been Owen's best match since we started doing this too.
I
By the
think
way,
so.
he looked
Yes.
phenomenal here. The suicide planche to the outside of the ring, the topo over the top rope. I mean, the suplex on the outside of the ring. Everything he did looked like $1,000,000 in this match.
Maybe we
It
just
made a little bit of credit to Billy Gunn too.
yes. Billy does slouch in the ring as well. And maybe he got some gold last week, so the confidence is building.
Sure.
But
Meanwhile,
it
in
was a good
commentary. Oh, go ahead.
it was a good solid match though from both of them, both efforts. And
I think it was awesome how they were honing. They were like we talked about the irritation of them talking about building the things and talking about what's not things that aren't going on in the ring. Like I feel like tonight was a pretty good example of that because meanwhile Jim Ross and the King are now in commentary. Jerry wasn't out for the first hour; he's out for the War Zone, and they're talking about expecting the press conference with Don King and Mike Tyson and Stone Cold and what we should expect, the involvement at WrestleMania and all that while talking about what's going on in the ring. They would say it and then say, "Oh," or reference something that happened in the ring. I thought they did a really good job.
yes, absolutely. Um, keep like it said, keep with putting the veterans in with the Outlaws too.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and Owen is a good prime example of that. So I think the pacing of the show has been very well so far.
We keep referencing the ratings as King is hitting on. DX was talking about the ratings with the Outlaws and says that when a guy comes out with a chainsaw and you want to be in the spotlight and you want to steal it from that guy, what do you got to do? Kill a guy? And him and JR both go silent. You could tell Vince McMahon grabbed the microphone and started screaming into the microphone. Don't reference killing guys. Did you not see the beginning of the show?
Yes.
We've got a cease and desist letter from the USA Network. You could tell there was repercussions for that comment just for how long. I think it's like 30 seconds where they don't speak.
Yeah, they go quiet, then they're getting their ass chewed by Vince back there. So I definitely didn't catch it at first, but I know that's exactly probably what was going on there.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned it. Obviously, this is going to end in a schmoz because we referenced it. Owen gets the sharpshooter on the Road Dog, or excuse me, on Gunn, and the Road Dog jumps into the ring. DX comes out. All four guys jump Owen Hart. They try to get Owen on the same side of the stage that the Outlaws took Jack and Charlie off of. Hunter hits a DDT on Owen. Sean is screaming into the camera, "You want ratings? You want ratings?" And Hunter tells them to prove themselves. We know that the Outlaws are eventually going to join DX. I wonder if the plan was to have them join DX even if Sean wasn't hurt.
Yeah, I see. I thought that's what it was until you gave it's that awesome theory a little while back that after Mania, if he wasn't injured, then he might be feuding with Triple H for the breakup. But that's very possible. And like they've been slapping these guys with him for on and off for like the last 2 months at this
About
point.
to main event pay-per-view with them as well.
Yes.
But they almost swing toss Owen off the stage and some officials come out. But listen, obviously Steve and Owen have their differences because the pile driver situation in real life and on camera. But like Stone Cold knows he's partnering. And there's the DTA mantra of it as well. But Stone Cold knows he's in a four-way tag team match with Jack and Charlie. Doesn't come out for the Outlaws when they throw him off the stage. He's in a four-way tag team match with Owen Hart. He gets jumped by all four of his opponents. Doesn't come out on stage. After everything that just happened in the first segment, this makes Austin look even worse. This is probably the worst they've made Stone Cold Steve Austin look, and he just won the Royal Rumble and get the championship at Mania.
Yeah, I mean, I know they wanted to probably keep that look of he just doesn't care about anybody but himself at this point. But yeah, you gotta it's about smarts too. It's like, wouldn't you want to protect your partners going into this battle? So yeah, it wasn't a good look for Steve at that point.
The other thing that like I liked about this was the realism, like the on boots on the ground, boots on the ground reporting. They sent Michael Cole off to the hospital with Charlie and Jack to keep giving us updates, and I love the realism of that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they didn't even like just give it like a dubbed audio thing, and they actually had him call in and whatnot. So yeah, they did a good job with that as his reporter in the field.
We go to commercial break and we come back and Headbanger Mosh is coming out to take on Marvelous Mark Marrow, and Sable comes out and gets probably the second loudest cheer of the night outside of the dumpster spot.
Yes.
JR says they're quite the pair, and he's not talking about Mero and Sable, by the way. They get into the ring, and Mero says, "You don't go anywhere without wearing one of my robes." And he puts the robe on Sable and tells Sable to do her job and take his robe off. And as she's getting out of the ring, someone delivers her chocolates. Now, this is the second week in a row. Remember, last week she was delivered the flowers at ringside. I don't really remember how this gets paid off, so I'm actually intrigued to see what comes of this. I think I remember it doesn't actually get paid off, but I'm intrigued to see what actually happens.
I
But
sort of think it might be gold dust. No, I don't know.
no kidding. Speaking of which, Mero says, "All right, head to the back, and while you're back there, get on that Stairmaster. You look like you've been putting on a couple of pounds." And Jerry Lawler says, "Yeah, but in the right places."
That's right.
Mero said he needs to bring out someone who's going to watch his back and some of the beautiful people, and introduces Marilyn. Obviously, Marilyn Manson's song, "The Beautiful People," which is ironic, eventually becomes the theme song of SmackDown. But
yeah, I didn't know that came out at this point. I thought it was more around the time.
Yeah, I thought for some odd reason I thought "The Beautiful People" was like early 2000s.
Right.
But out comes Goldust dressed as Marilyn Manson, and we talked about this last week. Like, this is apparently just going to be a strange bedfellows tag team, and
yeah,
like we have Sable and possibly Luna Vachon, and obviously a lot of that works into WrestleMania too. But this is just an awkward match. Mero hits the most awkward looking power bomb I've ever seen. And you could tell it kind of knocks Mosh loopy because they have to almost like reset the match in the middle of this. It ends up in a nothing. Like Mark Mero hits for the fourth week in a row, hits a low blow on somebody, gets the roll up win, and then him and Goldust leave hugging. Just a nothing match. And now we just have confirmation Goldust and Mark Mero together.
And like, I don't understand why, because I mean, not that Goldust stuff has been like, must see, because I might kind of want to turn off the TV at times, but like, where's Luna at this point? Like, why aren't we keeping those guys doing their strange
after
things?
She just took that massive bump at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what's going on here, but I was ready for this segment to be over with, and I guess one good thing about ending the match with a low blow and a pin is that it's over. So
it was the best part of the match. Yes. The other thing I want to mention is, like, I forgot how much I love the Headbangers moveset, like the rear end bump in the corner, and obviously that's what Mosh does to knock Goldust off the apron to get the distraction here. But like, those guys just kind of flew around. We talked about the power bomb through the card table a couple of weeks ago. Like, those guys really, like, when they were in the ring, they made it count, and I don't know if they get enough credit for that.
No, I don't believe they do, because I thought they were, when I was a kid, they always cracked me up, especially when they had the cones.
Yeah, we'll get there. That's coming. Speaking of what's up next is Barry Windham and Bradshaw do a split camera interview against each other. Barry Windham's back to his blonde hair that he traditionally had in the NWA, and Bradshaw says he tells Bradshaw he needs to find a partner to take on him and Jeff Jarrett tonight. And then we get a Shockmaster-esque moment where Bradshaw throws something at the wall and the entire wall falls in on him, while the NWA guys just continue to talk to him. Not a great look here.
Nope. But what was a good look is the blonde back on Barry Windham, because he looked so awkward last week with the long black hair and no facial hair.
I don't think he looked any better, man. I mean, I just think he needs some facial hair back.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I remember this happening much later in the Attitude Era as well, but we get a vignette for Tiger Ali Singh.
Yes.
And Tiger was the name of his father, Tiger Jeet Singh, and then his surname being after, obviously, Muhammad Ali. He says he wants to be the greatest fighter of all time, and he's going to do it despite being rich and all the successes he wants to fight. We know how this goes. It's not great. No. But it was a cool vignette. I like what they did.
Yeah, and it was kind of like what we had later on in life, with El Del Rio and JBL, the rich people gimmick,
the rich aristocrat. I mean, it's just just another ripoff of the $1 Million Man, right? But
right. But
overseas,
it just doesn't work in this time frame that we're in now. So
I think it might have had he been better in the ring.
Yeah, that's true.
We mentioned it. No Bariquas, no Truth Commission tonight, but we do get another a DOA versus Nation adjacent match. All members of the Nation come out and they show no issues. I mean, we had issues the last couple weeks since the Royal Rumble, the seeds being planted of the Nation splitting, but they all come out, they all hit the post together, and Chains comes out and gets another big pop here. Like, I don't know if people were just really into motorcycles in the 90s, but all the DOA comes out with Ahmed Johnson and Ken Shamrock, and obviously Shamrock still massively over, gets a massive pop.
He gets a pop.
They are going to be in a match at No Way Out called the War of Attrition match, and I don't know if that could sum up this feud anymore. It's just like every week, it's like, why are we doing this again?
It's
Didn't the network just send you a letter that says you shouldn't be doing racial undertone things?
Right. And we've got these freaking guys. And like this is even before Sons of Anarchy. It's like, ooh, motorcycles. But the only points I really have about the matches, and you already touched on one, is they're coming out to the DOA music and they just say that Shamrock's there and he gets a big ass pop.
Yeah.
So other than that, I mean, I do like the continuation and the Rock's little mannerisms with the
flexing
dissension.
The crowd.
Yes. And the dissension with the group that they got going on there.
We talked about the Sable Pop and the Dumpster Pop. The third loudest chant of the night might have been the Rocky Sucks chant during this entire match, and he wasn't even in it. But the one spot that I liked in this match that I thought looked really cool was Farouk kind of does this thing where he hits a back suplex on Chains and steps over him to kind of say something to the crowd and loses track of where his footing is, and Chains gives him the electric chair drop. And I thought that was a really cool spot. What was not a cool spot was Farouk gets a chin lock, and conveniently that's when Michael Cole breaks in to give us the news from the hospital. Terry Funk is awake, but Mick Foley is still in and out of consciousness, so we're still kind of teasing them for the night. But despite that, the Nation being on the same page when they come out, Kama accidentally trips Farouk, so we're still getting a little dissension there, and Farouk goes to the outside, and they start pushing each other, and we get another schmoz event between these two factions where Farouk and Kama are shoving each other, and there's a count out. Because of course there is. Like this none of these matches ever end with a decision. It just ends up with some kind of gimmick ending, and again we get another one just like this.
Which is why we need the War of Attrition match, Jimmy, so that there is a definitive.
No, we just need this shit to end.
You won't hear any arguments from me, but the only thing I like there is that when Farouk is yelling at everyone, Rock's just kind of smug in the background, and I think he yelled at Mark Henry, "Get your big ass up there."
Yeah, Farouk does his best to kind of get everybody back on the same page. It talks about why they need to be on their P's and Q's, because obviously they're going to face these guys in a couple of weeks. And he tells everybody to get in line, now strike the pose, and they all hit the fist at the top of the ramp to give the salute, to try to show some solidarity and show that Farouk is still in charge.
Yep.
Or is he? Yeah. We go to commercial break. We come back for the 1-800-COLLECT Rewind of the week, and no Truth Commission on the actual show proper, but apparently on Shotgun Saturday Night, Kurgan gave some jobber the claw and then drug him up the ramp away. Okay, cool.
Great.
Yeah, allegedly Bradshaw has found himself a partner as well, and the NWA comes out. And remember, we mentioned this just briefly a minute ago during the dumpster spot. Flash Funk wanted a part of the Outlaws, and him and Road Dogg threw some punches. So he was looking for a fight tonight. He gets one tonight. He's Bradshaw's partner. And the fact that we didn't actually get the nickname of this tag team to be Flash and Stash is maybe the travesty. Probably the travesty of the entire Attitude Era. But this tag team's not for long, as we find out in this match.
No, what could have been the Stash and Tash? Oh, God, the Flash and Stash. Oh my goodness. There was some things I actually did like about. Well, maybe it's more necessarily the post match, but Flash Funk didn't get much to do here. He was
I didn't understand the point of this. I kind of wonder if somebody else was supposed to be Bradshaw's partner that didn't show up or something, because this was very quickly kind of snuffed out here. As the Flash gets the outside of the ring, and the Rock and Roll give Flash Funk a flapjack, which is not easy to say.
No.
Off the barrier on the outside, he gets taken away and is injured, so Bradshaw has to do this by himself. And I thought Bradshaw, I don't remember him looking this good at this moment. I thought he looked like $1 million.
I think so too. It's like because you got Jarrett bumping around all over the place for him, and obviously he's already got under the tutelage of Barry Windham here, but he was just like a freight train, just going nonstop. And it kind of actually made me want to actually go back and see some more of his younger work. Like,
yeah, he looked great in this match, and obviously the numbers game catches up for a minute, and you've got the Rock and Roll and Jerry and Jim Cornette on the outside. They distract Bradshaw. He goes to the outside. Barry Windham gives him the lariat on the outside, rolls him in the ring. They go for a double team on him, and Bradshaw actually gets the upper hand and gets the kick in on Barry Windham, and then gives the clothesline to Jarrett and gets the cover. And then after the match, the numbers game comes in, and Bradshaw still gets the upper hand, tossing the Rock over the outside, and gets his hands on Jeff Jarrett and hoists him up in the air. And Jim Cornette comes in the ring and hits him with the tennis racket, and they let Bradshaw no-sell the tennis racket that we've been putting over for a couple of weeks. It kind of felt like they were trying to strap the racket to the eventual wrestling god here.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was just going to be like kind of like the dummy they beat up on to get this group over more a little bit. But no, they gave him a lot of crap, and then the beatdown they gave him after was even, it was a pretty worth it beatdown for somebody that's not that well known and getting whatnot their comeuppance. But the spot that I liked was when Jarrett had him in the figure four, and just the pulling of the arms by the Rock and Roll Express. It's like, ooh, that's a nice little spin on the figure four. And then of course you got Barry Windham giving really bad splashes to the knees, but I digress.
Yeah, so what happens is the numbers game come up, and as Mike just alluded to, they get Bradshaw down to figure four. They're on with all 8 libs or all 8 points being put to the mat. And then Barry Windham does splashes on Bradshaw's knee, which JR lets us know that he's had 4 surgeries on, why he's not in the NFL anymore. And again, they leave the NWA standing tall and looking like a forcible threat to just about anybody. If they can beat this 6'6" former NFL guy down, it's kind of a badass cowboy. Who can't they take on? I thought it was a really cool way to leave it.
Yeah, and we kind of can tell that the NWA isn't for long as a storyline, so it's kind of disappointing because I'm actually interested in this as we're rewatching it.
Way more intriguing than the War of Attrition crap.
Yes,
I'll tell you
absolutely.
We get a recap of the dumpster spot. Michael Cole calls back on the phone, tells us some type of chaos has broken out. The police have shown up, and his phone kind of breaks up and cuts out. I was like, okay, this is pretty good.
Yeah. they're keeping you on the fishing line there. So Michael Cole is our reporter of the century.
Yeah, we talked about the WrestleMania press conference at the beginning of the episode, and we get a recap of what that's going to look like at noon. And Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler tell us that TSN, ESPN News, CNN are all going to be at this event. It's getting in, like, that's not a work. There's legit national-wide coverage for what Mike Tyson's involvement in WrestleMania is going to be. And it's happening in the press conference of where it's going to be announced that we're just 4 days away. Mike Tyson becomes a pretty prevalent character all the way up until WrestleMania, starting as early as this week.
Yes. And, the press conference is always a good way to get the tickets moving even more. They're sold out at this
sold
point,
out
right?
in 90 seconds. That's
right.
The thing I was just about to bring up. So we get referenced 3 times in the show that they sold out the Boston Garden for WrestleMania 14 in 90 seconds. That event is still 40 days away, and tickets just went on sale the day before this. However, No Way Out of Texas is 13 days away. There's still seats available. So get down to Houston and watch that event that has zero meaning behind it.
Isn't Tyson scheduled to be there, or is that after? Because
he's scheduled to be there, but he's obviously not directly involved.
Yeah, that damn War of Attrition match ain't moving numbers.
It sure isn't. But obviously, we get the most important moment of the night because Wink Collins comes out. You remember Wink Collins, don't you, Mike?
Oh yeah, no one can outwink the wink. I don't know.
You know who this is actually? He's the guy that was Billionaire Ted in the Billionaire Ted skits.
Oh, was that him?
Yeah, I didn't know that until I looked it up here. So when this happened, I went, "Who the hell is Wink Collins?" But he comes out and he mentions everything we just mentioned about 90 seconds for the sellout for WrestleMania 14. And if you're wondering why Wink Collins is here, it's because he's about to be murdered. The lights go out, the organ starts to play, and here comes Kane. JR accidentally says that Kane lit the Undertaker's casket on fire at WrestleMania, not at Royal Rumble, by the way. But, I don't know about you, Mike, if a 7-foot one-eyed monster was coming towards me after a fire just went off in front of him, I would probably run away. Wink Collins chooses not to do that. Kane goes to chokeslam, and Vader's music hits, and Vader obviously got attacked last week by Kane, got tombstoned by Kane, looked incredible after Kane got his balance. We talked about all that. Vader clearly forgets that he's supposed to be a face here because he shoves a cameraman out of the way. But he grabs the mic, and we talked about like Owen Hart's lack of push and how some guys could go in the ring or were established talents and maybe just not that good on the stick. This Vader promo was terrible.
Yeah, it was only like 30 seconds too, but it was like
about 28 too long.
God, it just dragged so long. It's like he was stammering. He would just wanted to mainly focus on yelling. That's basically it. And said, I think the last thing he said is like, "I'm gonna take your big ass down" or whatnot. But
I'm gonna take your big ass belongs to me, and I'm gonna put your fire out. He challenges Kane at No Way Out, and Paul Bearer nods in agreement. And then he goes and gets a fire extinguisher, engulfs the ring, and it sends Kane in retreat. Now that's a pretty big deal because that's the first time this has happened.
Yes,
it could have been, not after the worst promo of the year. But
one of the things I liked about it, maybe that's what you're just about to get at here, but when Kane goes to get back in the ring and Paul Bearer is just pulling at his hair to like just try to tame him.
Well, a couple things here. I mean, like if you just take the promo out of it, the rest of this was pretty good. Like you could tell that was real fire extinguisher by the dry ice burning. Yes. You can see dry ice burning on Kane's left sleeve there. Paul Bearer, obviously, he's one of the best for a reason. I mean, everything he did to sell this was incredible. But I thought it was interesting that we let Vader get the upper hand with the fire extinguisher and that we're treating him as a legit threat because of Paul Bearer being concerned. But we make it a point to show, hey, Vader just got the upper hand of Kane. Here's what happened last week where Kane tombstoned him, and he's still the focal point of this whole thing. Don't forget about that.
Yep. They want to keep Kane in the minds as the unbeatable monster, even though Vader just got some retribution there. They know where their bread's getting buttered at this point. So, and I think that's just to kill time to bring Taker back. So why not have Vader in there doing the work for Kane? So.
Yeah, we mentioned it, just 5 matches tonight, and the last one is still to come. There's 6 minutes left in the show, and we still haven't gotten back to Stone Cold Steve Austin, by the way. Road Dogg versus Stone Cold is up next. We mentioned it. The main event is happening on the other channel 4.5 minutes before we even get to commercial break here, and it's Sting versus the Macho Man with Michael Buffer giving the intro.
Oh, my God.
That's a pretty big thing to compete against. And by the way, we open this segment up with Billy Gunn doing the "oh, you didn't know" to zero reaction. Why do we keep letting him do this?
Just terrible. I don't know. It's like he
when
has
Road
no
Dogg does it,
voice.
Huge pop. Even at this time, Billy Gunn does it, you can hear a fart.
It's like, why can't he do it? Because he's about to wrestle, so it doesn't work the other 8,500 times he does it, but before he wrestles.
But this is actually maybe the best Billy Gunn does here because he actually mentions that there's a lot of people upset with them, but at 6 a.m. When Titan Tower receives the Nielsen ratings, there won't be too many people upset. And we kind of give Austin his heat back here because we mentioned the inability to put his hands on Shawn earlier. He clearly takes that out on Billy Gunn because he absolutely mollywops him at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
He gets in, he stomps him out, he slams Road Dogg on the announcer's table, gets in the ring. Billy Gunn jumps in and eats a stunner. They rang the bell a couple of times here. I don't know if that was supposed to indicate the match started or if they were calling for the disqualification. Because DX is coming down the ramp too.
Right. I was trying to catch on. I think they rang the bell for it to start, and then after.
We don't ever get another bell ring.
Maybe we didn't. Yeah, because it just. I mean, we didn't really need it because we already got a stunner on Billy Gunn, which awesome sell job, by the way.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
And we didn't have much time for really a match anyway, so just off to more feud fueling for Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels here.
Yeah, and we feed back to the Jim Ross lets us know this is clearly rushed and bad time management. Jim Ross lets us know an ambulance has just arrived outside before the match even starts. DX comes down, they start jumping Austin. JR is hammering home that Shawn doesn't want to face Austin at WrestleMania. We don't even bother noting that the Outlaws and DX have now jumped all 4 of their opponents, like we said at No Way Out. Like that doesn't even get mentioned one time. They roll Austin out of the ring. They tie him up in the ropes. Shawn taunts Austin with the belt and says, "This is as close as you're ever going to come to the WWF title." Cactus Jack comes out, and Mick Foley. He legitimately has an IV in his arm with a bed rail still attached to his hand.
No shoe.
No shoe, yeah. And then Terry Funk comes out with a chainsaw, still in a hospital gown, which not sure how DX got by him, but somehow they don't show this on camera, but DX gets up the ramp and past Chainsaw Charlie, who is literally only in a bathrobe and a chainsaw in his hand. But Austin chases him up the ramp. They disappear. He runs into the back, grabs a DX shirt, comes out, and rips it in half. We get the trademark at the bottom, and that's the end of the show. And Mike, I don't know about you, man, but this is probably my favorite episode that we've done since that we've watched since we've started doing it for me personally. We're gonna go ahead and grade the show. I give it an A-, man. I thought it was fantastic. It wasn't a lot, but it was just enough of everything.
You know what's funny? I actually was going B+ until the very last thing we have is our hospital friends returning. I don't ever remember seeing that before. I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going A-. I enjoyed the show.
This was really, really good. Next week is, if not as good, just a better of an episode. We're gonna get the Nation versus Ken Shamrock and Ahmed, and that chair shot with the ankle lock on. Stone Cold Steve Austin steals the WWF Championship from Shawn Michaels. All the shenanigans, and it's also the go-home show of No Way Out of Texas. Just a reminder, we're going to do the big 4 on live reviews. We will not be doing the No Way Out pay-per-view. It's kind of a crap show in a live form, but we will review it. It will be up on the channel as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us an oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Down in the comments below. If you like and subscribe to Analyzing Attitude, we're going to enter you into a drawing to win a PlayStation 5. As soon as we hit 1,000 followers, we are giving away a free PlayStation 5. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I've been Jimmy Allen. That's Mike Sweeney. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.